everybody, it's your man James, Mr. Sequential Treasures, back again with some more video action for you. I know this might be a little bit of a surprise to you, but no more so than it is for me. As you guys know, I'm getting ready for SummerCon. It's going to be in a couple days here. The show is almost here. We're the 0 hour, as it were. So I'm getting stuff ready, trying to make sure I have all my ducks in a row. And as it turns out, I had a couple of free hours here where I didn't know what to do. So I'm like, what can I do with this free time? And I thought, hey, well, why not just do another video? So you guys get a little bonus here. We're going to be doing another Why It's Great before the show. So, enjoy, guys. Glad to get this out there to you. I hope you'll enjoy it. And before we go any further, I want to thank you all for joining me today, and to make sure to hit that like down there if you like what you hear. And if you got any comments later on, please drop a comment down there. I've loved getting comments. I'm noticing I'm getting some comments on these. I'm really enjoying that. And of course, as always, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed, so you don't miss out any other great material that I have here that I'm putting up more and more of every day. And that's about it. So let's get right on into it. Today we're going back to the year 1985. And we're going to check out some classic stuff from Marvel here. So the West Coast Avengers issue number 3 by Steve Englehart, Al Milgrom, and Joe Sinnott. So we're going to get into that here. Let's just get things going. We get me off of there, and then we share the screen. And there we go. And this is the cover to West Coast Avengers number 3 from 1985. As you can see, an awesome battle image there of Tigra versus Kraven the Hunter, which normally you guys probably think Kraven as a Spider-Man villain, which he is, of course. But if you guys know the history of the character, he's had more than a few run-ins with Tigra as well, which will be talked about in some of this. But again, just a great image here. We'll try to enlarge it here for us a bit. You can see some of that great detail. Like you can see the detail and how he's scratched up. And here it is. Just she's in total mortal danger here, and you got Hawkeye and Mockingbird showing up in the background there trying to save her. But it's Tigra versus Kraven, so it should be a good matchup there, right there at the heart of it. So let's go on here. And as the story opens, as you can see here, it's the team is meeting with Scarlet Witch and Vision, who they just had an adventure with over the last couple of issues, kind of wrapping up the stuff with Wonder Man's origins and who is the real Wonder Man? Is it the Vision with his imprints of his anagrams on his mind, or is it the body of Simon Williams here? It's been reanimated with ionic energy, and they could just kind of bring it all to a head there. And what you'll find is what I've found is with the West Coast team, unlike the classic Avengers series, the West Coast team is more like family and more soap opera oriented, where the Avengers team on the East Coast is much more like co-workers and serious threats that are world ending and things like that. Whereas these are much more personal stories. You see a lot more character interaction, on a personal level in the West Coast Avengers, and you're never going to see more of that than you will right here. So, and you can see here they kind of they shake it up, and they are splitting up and heading their separate ways. But if you take note here right here, as they're leaving, what's Mockingbird saying? The way they're looking at each other, like newlyweds, or people think about having a baby. But that's impossible, isn't it? I mean, the Vision's a human in the head, but the rest of him is plastic and wires. Sure, that's impossible. Don't be a bird brain, Mockingbird. So right here, you can see this is like probably the first moment where they started to hint at the fact that the Scarlet Witch was going to have those children that they later had. So you can see it was a plot device that was not even started in their own book, but here they're hinting at it. So just little shades of the future, because they even tell you, but you might want to keep an eye on Wanda and the Vision's own book, because who's to say what's impossible? So I mean, they're hinting at it real heavily here that's going to be the case. So as they're heading back to L.A. after their big adventure with Vision and Scarlet Witch, they recap what happened, and in the battle they had, Tigra let her feline soul, as it were, sort of take control over her more rational aspects, and in the process, it allowed Ultron to escape from them, and this bothers her a lot. As you can see here, I'm no good for this group. I just don't have any judgment anymore. And the more the human part of me is being pushed out by and more and more, human partner is being pushed out by the cat. And then so, Iron Man tries to console her, saying, look, it took me a long time to understand certain things. You can't blame yourself. And she's like, she rails on him. You're Iron Man, the guy's so much in control, you hire flunkies to take the place in that armor when you want time off. And then, of course, she's referring to Jim Rhodes, who was actually a founding member of the West Coast Avengers because he was Iron Man at the time. But, as you can see here, Tony gets a little huffy. He goes, time off? You think I was taking a vacation all those months? And as we all know, he was dealing with alcoholism. So it's not so cut and dry. And so, she jumps out of the Quinjet. She's sitting on, if I'm going to solve my problems, it will be easier without making a fool of myself before witnesses. And so she takes off to try to come to terms with what she's dealing with internally. Meanwhile, the team themselves have their own issues because you got Hank Pym here looking to find a place in the team, as well as them looking for a sixth member. And as Tigra is out on her own here, you can see she runs across, oh, what's this? You can see how much this is bothering her and weighing on her. On and on it goes. The battle for the soul of Greer Nelson. I'm more cat than woman now, and considering my powers, that wouldn't be so bad if I were the sum of my parts. But as the cat grows stronger, the woman fades, and that scares me. I almost wish I'd become a full cat. At least that way I wouldn't know what was happening to me. And so, but as she's having all this internal, turmoil going on, she comes across a crime in process. So, of course, being the superhero that she is, she jumps right on in, and starts taking them out. Thanks them, for this. He goes, it won't be on the news, but I just screwed up fighting a real baddie. So I appreciate you letting me work my frustrations out on you. Just, the classic thing, almost like a Spider-Man-esque type of moment here, where she just jumps into the fray and starts talking some trash. But then it turns out that these guys, well, it's not exactly, they weren't exactly robbing something just because they're criminals. They're actually working for Kraven the Hunter. And as you can see here, it says, we meet again, little one. And, Marvel Chillers 4 and Marvel Team Up 67. As I said, these two have a history that predates this issue. So, Kraven, he's much more known as a Spider-Man villain, but he's also gotten entangled with some others, and the big one here is Tigra. So there's history there. And as they go on, she's he reminds her of the time he had a slave collar on her, and that ticks her off. A cat or a woman, I'll never forgive you for trying to control me. And she goes, Spider-Man kept me from paying you in full that time, but nothing will keep my claws from your throat now. And so, Kraven's all like just kind of was laughing it off, saying, how she's more savage and how he's enjoying that because it'll make the victory and the conquest all the more sweeter. And then, as she leaps in for another shot, he cuts her with one of those spikes on his belt. And as it turns out, this is why Kraven is the hunter. He goes, you drugged me. My belt tusks contain various variety of herbs and reptile potions, little one. And now the artifacts I've redeemed from the African-American art gallery demand my attention. And so I'll leave you at last, knowing full well who is your master. And it's, she can't believe it that she got taken so easy, and it angers her, before she passes out. So round one to Kraven. But then we head back with the rest of the team, and they're returning to the compound there. They're placing Goliath in a cage, and this is where Hank Pym kind of comes in, saying what he wants to be as a part of the team, because he doesn't want to be a superhero anymore. This is Hank Pym during a period where he was down on being a superhero, didn't want to be one, and he goes, I would like to stay on and study him, Hawkeye, but not as a freeloader. I've been thinking, what if I oversaw running the compound for you? So he wants to be sort of like the caretaker of the West Coast Avengers compound. And you can just see, Hawkeye's a little shaken. You want to be our butler? And then it's just Iron Man here. How far has he fallen? Because you remember these guys were original members of the Avengers. And so they try to talk him out of not doing it because they think it's beneath him. He goes, look, I don't mean to sound elitist, but maybe I am. You and I helped form the group, and the Avengers shouldn't work for Avengers. But then we see in Iron Man's case, there's a little more to it. He goes, or is the real reason I'm feeling that I demeaned him already by moving in on Jan, the Wasp, after they were divorced. So you see, he's wondering if that's playing a part in this. And so Hank calls it out and just tells him all the reasons why. He is to tell him, first off, I'm not an Avenger now, and secondly, what outside manager knows the team and what needs to be done better than me. Thirdly, this is my way to contribute since I don't want to just be a sort of burden. And fourthly, and it's a way to show that no matter how badly I messed up, you weren't wrong to trust me all those other years. The bottom line is I miss all you guys. So he wants to just be with them and be around them, but he doesn't want to be on the action side of things. And it's kind of interesting take on Hank Pym at this time, where he's dealing with his own, we saw Tiger with internal stuff that she's dealing with. This is sort of Hank Pym is having the same thing from a different angle. Whereas she's trying to understand what her identity is, whether she's more cat or more human, and his is more trying to find his place in the world. Where is there a place for me? I can't be a hero. I screwed that up. I can't just be a scientist. I got to do more than that. And of course, there's my obligation to the team that he feels he has. How do you deal with all that? So again, very much as I said, very much the interactions between the characters is played up much more in the West Coast Avengers than it ever was in the East Coast version of the Avengers. And you get a moment here with Wonder Man dealing with his film career, and then we cut to Hawkeye and Mockingbird. And I really like this because, again, just like with Spider-Man, the one I did a couple weeks ago, where you saw the interaction with his supporting cast, and in between him and Mary Jane, who were just married at the time. Here you got these two who were married not too long ago, and it's you could just see the affection that they have for each other. That just the genuine affection between a man and his wife. Something you don't see that anymore in the comics today. And of course, Hulk has to be a little bit of a jerk. He goes, don't need luck, just taste. But Bobby Barton, since we've got married, I've never thought about any other woman, except of course for Tigra. And she takes a little umbrage, and he goes, hey, it's business. The chairman's got to think about his teammates. So they decide that they're going to go try and find her. So they get on his sky cycle and they head out to look for her. And then while that goes on, we get back with Tigra, who's now on the hunt for the hunter. She's using her abilities to try to find him. He goes, I'll scratch his eyes out, and then I'll play with him. A cat with a mouse. So you can see even here the cat thing is really strong in her. And I just love all this stuff. You get more stuff of this, the 80s references, those starlets, they'll do anything to get their picture taken. That's Elvira, the one who is the one that hosts the horror movies, isn't it? I just love that. I love it. Those little references, those cultural references. And while she's out and about, here's this guy in his fancy car starts flirting with her, saying, she's hey, you're Tiger with the West Coast Avenger. And he goes, and he's glad that they've moved out there. He goes, LA's had individual here for a while, but I really like, but that he really likes the fact that that they got a team now. Felt that the new LA deserved to have their own superpowered team. And, he makes a joke about the champions there. And so she jumps in and plants one on him. And you see more of the internal struggle that Tigra is having. He goes, whatever other failings I may have, I do like men, and men like me. I'd have never been this free if I'd stayed Greer Nelson, the feminist. But no sooner do I think that than I'm getting scared about losing Greer again. So you see, she's, again, even while she's in the middle of a hunt for a villain, she's still got the internal conflict going on inside of her. The struggle for her soul, as it were. So then we get some stuff here where she heads out into this park out there in LA, and you can see her using her abilities, and a trap is sprung, but she's prepared for that. You just like your jungle warfare, don't you, Craven? But it's time you learn that the difference between hunting cats and being one. So now we get into the heart of it. Now we get into the heart of the battle right here. And as you can see here, she relieves him of his weapons so that he can't do what he did to her before. But then he hits her, and he goes, some sort of nerve punch. My leg's gone dead. But then she tears him up a little bit, and Craven almost like a psychotic. He's kind of into it. You draw the first blood, my blood, and it's good too, and good it is too. Just crazy, crazy stuff. And while that's going on, they continue the battle. And he tells them how in my blood is a secret potion that I stole from witch doctors, which gives him his strength and speed. He goes, I would not want to be a cat when I can be Craven, and you'll be Craven hospitalization before I'm finished. And so, but just as things are starting to get really intense, that's when she sees Mockingbird and Hawkeye show up. So she knocks Craven into the woods where they can't be seen, because she goes, "This is my fight for me alone." And so they can't, they fly by and miss her. Meanwhile, there's more battle with Craven. He's got traps set up all over the place, and here it is. Nuts. He managed to trick me after all. They always try to trick me. See, she's blaming her incompetence, not so much on herself, but on the fact that she's being tricked by people. They don't fight fair, as if you'd expect that of a villain. So she gets out of that, and then Craven pulls out another weapon, and it's a potion that will blanket her sense of smell, so she can't use her senses to find him so easily. You won't even be able to find me, let alone defeat me. But I'll find you again when I'm ready. And so, but she takes on to the trees after him. And I love that shot right there. The two shots I love here is I love the shot of her ripping the net, and the graceful landing in the tree. Again, this, Al Milgrom, he was never really a great artist. He was more of a utilitarian, a guy you get to come in and, maybe make the deadline, a guy who was competent enough, but he was never like the top tier of artists, but like he had his moments. And like this page right here with like this panel and this one here, you really get to see like this is Al Milgrom at his best. So like when he gets something on, it looks really, really good. And the battle continues. And then, curse you, woman. He who fights and runs away lives to fight another day, but Craven cannot be seen to flee. Hire a PR man if you're worried about your image. I don't care what your hangups are, so long as you turn and fight. To the death then. To the death. And so like now it's really getting serious. It's not going to be just a case of like, one-upsmanship. This is going to be to the bitter end, the struggle. But if you notice here's this panel right here of this guy out in the crowd watching, and he goes, I have tracked down Craven across the country, but now he's locked in combat with the Tiger Woman. I dare not shoot him lest I hit her instead. I must bide my time this day. Justice will be served. It's the Scourge of the Underworld. So we got a little cameo here of the Scourge of the Underworld actually trying to hunt Craven. So it's like there's all kinds of stuff. You got Craven hunting Tigra, Tigra hunting Craven, and of course now you got the Scourge of the Underworld hunting Craven. So I mean, it's a nice little tie-in to everything with the big stories that were going on at Marvel. You had the stuff with the Scarlet Witch and the Vision at the beginning. Now you got the Scourge here. So they really were trying to make this book into like a linchpin in the Marvel universe at the time. So the battle continues. He goes, so perhaps my mistake today has been to fight you as a human. Human is famous for his secret ways of taming cats, and thus the battle ends. So he hits, what's he doing? Another nerve thrust, and now I can't move. And then see, there it is. Once again, this isn't fair. Why am I always beaten by tricks? I'm stronger than he is. I'm faster. This isn't fair. And it looks like, it's finally, he said it was going to be to the death, and it looks like it's going to be. But of course, that's when the cavalry arrives. Hawkeye and Mockingbird show up. You fools, the werewoman was magnificent prey, but you're nothing. So, he's annoyed that they got involved because it takes away the victory he was about to have. And I love this right here. Mockingbird, you're so slow to one with my reflexes. Even without the leverage I need to escape this rope, I can escape your futile blows. Listen, Craven, I crashed in the Savage Land once and not only survived, but learned the ways of Khazar. Khazar, you dare compare me to that ignorant savage? I think I do. And then just, takes him right out. And then, of course, Tigra, though, she finally frees. She's finally able to move again. But as you can see, she's not very happy. But who asked you to get involved? This was my fight. even though I was going to lose it, it was still mine. I wanted to find out what I really am. And so they kind of tell her, you're a part, what you are is a part of this team. And that's what we do. We help each other out. And she goes, I'm a weak part of the team. A part you have to save from her own mistakes. And she goes, you know what? We all make mistakes. That's why we're a team, is so that we can back each other up when we have problems. And so that way our problems don't get the better of us. We work better together than separately. That's why we're a team. And so I just, love it. And then of course, Hawkeye making a little comment about the herbs that he threw on her to throw off her senses, not smelling like a not so good perfume. But yeah, there you go. There's your little moral of the story right here, about how teamwork, doesn't just make the dream work, but it also helps out each individual in the team. And so they go back, they're back to the estate, and they're all hanging out, and they're talking about their sixth member problem. They got to find the sixth member of the team. Who are we going to get? And again, Hawkeye saying it's too bad Craven's a bad guy because we could use somebody with that kind of strength. And Tiger saying one member dressed in orange is quite enough, but is it really? Because who shows up? Why, the ever-loving blue-eyed thing, of course. Who else? And so here it is. He showed up to use the phone while I was riding through town. And, well, you can see right here, Hawkeye, Benji, old buddy, have I got a deal for you? Can it be the ever-loving blue-eyed thing, a member of the West Coast Avengers? Come back next month to find out. So there it is. Again, to leave you with a classic cliffhanger. Is the thing going to become a member of the team? So, a lot of fun in this one. Like I said, as you notice, it's a lot more soapy, with all the interpersonal stuff. You got the stuff with Tigra and her internal struggles. You have, the team trying to find a sixth member. You have Hank Pym trying to find his place in the team. You've got, all kinds of stuff. You got the lovey-dovey stuff with Hawkeye and Mockingbird. Very much, again, it's not so much, this wasn't like so much like a world-ending, world-shattering, like, epic event like you would see in the East Coast Avengers so much. This was much more in line of like I said, like a soap opera type of feeling. So it felt more like character interactions are what mattered more. The way Tigra reacted to Kraven so much, the way she reacted when Hawkeye and Mockingbird pull her fat out of the fire. These are the things that were more in line with what you saw in the West Coast series. And that's par for the course because of Steve Englehart. Whether he's doing a team book like the FF or an individual character like the Silver Surfer, he always made sure to put in a lot of personal character interactions and character interdrama. That made a story more well-rounded. It wasn't just a big action fest. It wasn't just like your big blockbuster type of stories. He did the more human side to stories, and that's what you got in the West Coast Avengers team. And I really like this issue because it shows you how the personalities in a team can so differ, and yet they still can come together when necessary and get a job done. And that, to me, that was what made this book so great. And of course, the last splash page ending here with the thing was just the cherry on top to see, another very well-known character who may soon become a member of the team. Just like I said, lots of great stuff in this one. It's a lot of fun. If you're looking for some light entertainment that isn't going to strain your brain or make you feel, that you got to be, have read 1,000 different books to keep up with it or whatever. A West Coast Avengers #3. This is a perfect book for that. It's a great story, a lot of fun. Like I said, the artist is decent enough. Like I said, Milgram was never a great artist, but inked by a pro like Sinnott, he actually brings him up a little bit. Like I said, this image right here, just a great image. So like when Milgram is on, he can produce some really nice stuff like this. And this issue, I think, is probably one of the better ones he did in the course of his run on the book. So definitely worth checking out. I would say, it shouldn't be a very expensive issue. You probably get this for like, $3 or $4 at your local comic shops or at a convention or wherever, because it's isn't exactly a series that's high on anyone's must buy list. It's not got any big name characters in it. It hasn't got any big name intros, or it hasn't got like a major creator of some kind. So it should be very easy on your wallet. Just classic fun comics, the stuff that we used to have and we don't see so much of anymore. And there you go, West Coast Avengers #3 from 1985. I keep telling everyone, the 80s was the greatest time probably ever in the history of comics, at least as far as I've been alive. Some might say it was the 60s, maybe some might say the 40s even, with the classic golden age. But for me, pound for pound, could never have a better time in comics in the 1980s, and books like the West Coast Avengers #3 is a good reason why that is. Just fun, light, entertaining, storytelling, and that's all you really need. That's all that really matters. So go out and check it out if you can. Like I said, I don't think you'd have a problem having a good enjoyment from that. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. Again, drop me any comments on there. What are your thoughts on the book? Did you read it? What did you think? Do you think Al Milgram's a better artist than I think he is, or do you think I overestimated him? What did you think of all the stuff with Tiger and the personal interactions with the team? Let me know what you think down below, because I want to hear what you guys got to say. And that'll do it for this video. But again, don't forget, I got some stuff coming up here. I am going to be going to SummerCon just a couple days away now. I'll try to get some video out there and have some stuff for you guys. And I'm still hoping to plan. Hopefully my my laptop will work when I'm out there, but I'll try to do a post-show live stream where I'll give you the booty haul of what I picked up, and maybe even show you some photos or whatever if I got some cool pics. And you can check all that out. So make sure to be keeping up with the channel here by subscribing if you haven't subscribed, and also make sure to drop a like on this to help out the algorithms there. Because I want to try to get those numbers up, and so everything you guys can do to help me, I appreciate. And I will be back again with some more content very soon. Until next time, take care.